All
There.
right. Good to see you, man.
Hey, thank you. Good to be seen. Nice shirt.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. I wear my own
Awesome.
merch.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. Hey, it's good to see you doing so well and looking so great and being successful, man.
Thank you. Thank you
Uh,
very, very much. I appreciate that.
yeah, it's cool. Let me do a formal introduction, somewhat formal introduction for you. I'm
Perfect.
talking with James Durbin today, and he has just signed a multi-record deal with Frontiers Records, which is great to hear. We'll get more than just the Beast Awakens, which drops on February 12th, 2021, and we're looking forward to it. And you probably recognize James from being in the top four in the 10th season of American Idol, and he's done voiceovers for Disney and other clients. James, again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I got to say, yeah, being with Frontiers, I'm looking forward to many beasts and many awakenings.
Yeah, it's awesome. I saw that multi-record deal, and and this is as I was listening to the record for, the second, third time through, and it's like this record is fantastic. It's just so, so good. I mean, it is just amazing. Um, and I'm thinking to myself, there's going to be more of this now. Can you give us a little detail on what multi-record deal means?
It's just an extended relationship.
Okay.
It's who knows what forms those are going to take shape as. If it's, I look forward to continued albums with this lineup, with Durbin and with my guys, with Mike Vanderhule and with Barry Sparks and my assortment of lead guitar players that contributed to the album, and bringing other people in as it evolves. Who
Yeah.
knows what shape it's going to take as it continues, as I write the next saga
Yeah.
of Durbin.
Yeah, it's cool. No number was given to that contract then, so you're not in it for like three records.
No, it's just kind of
Okay.
open. It's just kind of mutually see how we're feeling and what's next. It's everyone is followed up with an option for another, and the sky's the limit. I see no end in sight.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, the Beast Awakens. You have a lot of theme to it. Did you
Mm-hmm.
plan? What was your goal going into writing it? Is there any one particular thing that you wanted to accomplish when writing the Beast Awakens in the way it sounds?
I wanted to be true to myself. I wanted to figure out what this brand sounds like. Rebranding as just Durbin with my last name and knowing what that finally sounds like now that I get the chance to do that. It's something I've wanted to do, but I'm very glad that I waited and didn't, waste it on something else that, is forgettable. I wanted to actually be very methodical about what I do and how I make this sound. Um, and so, sorry about that.
No problem.
And um, I was listening to albums, my favorite power metal and classic heavy metal albums of Dio and Priest and
Yeah.
Maiden and the like, and Black Sabbath especially,
Hmm.
and just wanted to make something of that ilk. Something that sounded like it could have been plucked from that era as far as its themes go, the fantasy songwriting and storytelling, the musicality, what notes will follow and precede the others, and just how I develop the songs and how they're sung. And of course, I was born in 1989, and I've got my musical influences from the emo bands of the 2000s, and that modern kind of sensibility and a theater background, and
Hmm.
but I devour music. I love music. I listen to it, almost all of it. I
Yeah.
consume my fair share of pop. I love traditional country and storytelling and that art form, and have used those influences to accompany this heavy metal music.
Yeah, yeah, and it is very melodic, and Frontiers Records known for their more melodic metal. This is one of the heavier albums on their catalog, I think, but it still has that great melody to it. Just really, really well written songs. Now, did you write all the music and the lyrics?
Every riff, every note, every melody, every lyric.
Wow. Wow. Incredible, man.
Thank you.
Uh, did you do that on guitar?
Yeah, on guitar, and a lot of it acoustic, a lot of it electric, just writing, a lot of it vocal. A lot of the riffs I wrote. Take the title track, "The Beast Awakens," the song itself, as a prime example. Driving around the car and suddenly singing an idea for 5 or 10 minutes and record it in my phone, play it on my chest.
Awesome.
And like hitting, finding the drums that I hear in my head of like, and I know what each of those like do, boom, like those are toms, and the
Right.
is the snare and everything, and just like
Right.
forming it and crafting it and creating it, and then able to take that to my computer and plug in my guitar and put a click track and find the right tempo and then play a basic guitar of sometimes it was just sections, sometimes I would just play an entire song and make it up as I go, which
Wow.
I think happened with that song of like, okay, maybe I'll do this many times for the verses, and then maybe I'll do a solo here, or this one has a bridge, and I just played it and let it evolve and let it come
Amazing.
out, and then write lyrics from there and melodies and everything. But sometimes it happened that way. Sometimes the idea fully came out. The music wrote itself for the Prince of Metal, and then I had this idea of the Prince of Metal. Like, why not? Why
Yeah.
not? I've never heard anybody write that
Yeah.
before. Why not? That's You want to find those themes with this style of classic heavy metal because there's so much of it out there already. There's so much
Right.
from the past. There's some bands that are doing it now, and but I don't find this particular strain, if you will,
Yeah.
being utilized as much and recalled. The
Yeah.
sounds of Dio. Those albums there's
Yeah.
such a melodic quality to them, as well as a type of metal that just punches you directly in the face,
Yeah.
and your ears are ringing and you feel it, and I feel like I'm like just delivered to those places, and those places that he's singing from, and with Dio and with Halford and Bruce Dickinson and all of them, just they really paint a audio visual.
Yeah. Oh, well, and it's all from the heart. It's so emotional, and I got that from this record, much like those traditional metal records. Just really an emotional experience. Um,
Yeah, it is. I mean, even if you're singing about things that are fictional,
yeah.
I found a way to put fact into fiction, but then you don't know where the truth begins and where the fantasy ends.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with those albums, of The Last in Line. Like, there's so much spirituality to that song, and
Hmm.
Straight Through the Heart, and The Sacred Heart, and Rock and Roll
Right.
Children, and Children of the Sea, and like, what the hell are they singing about? You don't really know, but they're singing about it with such conviction and such
Yeah.
feeling and attack, like they'd die for this,
Right.
and it's fictional,
Yeah.
but it's to find that we hold on to that so near and dear. Like, take your shirt. I mean, take Judas Priest for
Yeah.
example. When Rob Halford's singing about
Uh,
the Sentinel, did
yeah.
he actually encounter some skin devouring, some flesh devouring demon on Earth? I don't think so.
Probably
But
not.
you feel it,
Yeah.
it really grabs you by the boo boo, and
Yep.
it pulls
Yep.
you in.
And I think that's what metal is really based on is that emotional attachment. No matter what you're saying, pretty much, it's a
Yeah.
believable thing because of that emotional core. And you really tune into that. Obviously, you
Thank
know
you.
what that's all about, and it comes through in the music. Now you have great musicians by your side as well. Barry Sparks is all over this record. I mean, he is
Oh, he
just,
runs
oh
across
my
it every
lord,
chance he gets, and I love it.
wow.
I gave him zero points. I gave him no notes of anything. Maybe in one part was like, maybe let's have this as a backup. But I ended up going with his instinct every time.
Oh,
I mean, you can't question somebody like that that's been around and is doing it for the song. And I really realized that what he played and his nuances, he picked up on little things that he found in the song and multiplied it. And
it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
He is just all over it. And Mike Vanderheel, of course, with Y&T for so many years, he's amazing as well on this record. Those two together, behind your voice is just, and the guitars are incredible from so many different people. Phil Demmel from Machine Head. I mean, we're talking, great players on this record, and that's it's shining. It really shines through all of that talent. It's fantastic. Did Frontiers give you any parameters? Because I know, like I say, they're a melodic, heavy rock, hard rock, classic rock thing. Did they give you any parameters on the record, or did they just let you do what you do?
They pretty much just gave me the keys to the Ferrari and said, pedal to the metal.
Ferrari, quite literally.
yeah, exactly. It's everybody that I got to play on it. I got to play and didn't have to ask. Didn't have to go to. Didn't have to go to the label and see like, oh, could we maybe contact this person. Barry contacted me after my QR departure and said, now that you're a free agent, I'd love to make some music with you, and any projects that you're working on, I'd love to be a part of and would love to play on. So if you've got music and you need bass, just send it to me and I'll send you parts. And that was like,
twist my arm.
Really? just like that? Just send you tracks? It's just like, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to play on it, man. I want to play with you. It's so cool. And awesome. Like, yeah, seriously, man, tell me about it.
No kidding.
And Mike, I had opened a couple shows with Y&T because we're Bay Area. Mike lives in 40 minutes from me, and played a show here in my hometown, Santa Cruz. And just before that show, we were talking, and I was just like, man, I'm such a fan of your playing, your style. It's that like undertones of Bonham, but so much of that like Vinny Appice, Steve Smith like thing. And he was like, I studied under Steve Smith, and I was like, God, wow, that's awesome. So, it really shows. And Mike and Barry have never played together.
Really?
Mike played.
Wow.
I had demos. I had done my own demos with like programmed drums and my own shitty bass, and I'm no bass player, and so I sent my guitar demos and demo vocals to Mike. I sent those sessions to Mike, and he tracked his his drums to those demos. And then we took the shitty bass out and we sent those with the new drums to Barry, and he just locked in. Man. Everybody just locked into it. All the guitar solos were done and tracked to my demos. Those are all just demo solos. I put no like album pressure on people to deliver album quality solos. They just played what was most comfortable to them and what felt best. And when I lived with that, I decided like, this is what's best for these songs. I don't think guys going back into the studio or me having to bring people in the studio is going to make these any better. These performances have no pressure on them to try and play something super incredible. It's just talented musicians, talented guitar players, masters of their own art forms and styles, delivering their best and their most comfortable.
Yeah, that's cool, and they sure do. Now you mentioned the exit from Quiet Riot. A lot of that was pretty abrupt right before the release of that album, the last album you did. Was that because of this record? What was the story behind that?
Well, there's just certain ways that some people do business, and I'm the type of person that is good to my word, and I told them I'd make the commitment for this as long as I could, and do it as long as I was still having fun. And I wanted to stay on board and promote that album, and and finish out the year as I had promised. But that wasn't, that's not how they
Okay.
go about it. So, I mean, to each their own, and I have to respect that decision, and which I do. And, they made the decision that they thought was the decision that was necessary for them to make. And business is business. We just couldn't come to an agreement on new terms or anything. And I, what it really came down to is me spending time with my family and wanting to take a week off out of the whole calendar year that I gave them to go camping, because I just love spending time with my family. I love spending a week drinking beers and swimming in the river and not having to care or worry in the world.
Doing those Sunday nights,
ukulele jams by the fire.
I was gonna the Sunday night show was great, man. I gotta tell you, the Lost Boys thing, man, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Now you're doing in this pandemic, we're all pretty much locked down, not playing a lot of live shows. You're doing Friday night jams, playing music on Facebook for people, and that's really cool. I think people should know about that.
Thank you. That's definitely something I want to promote and get out there. I do want to say real quick just about the Quiet Riot thing is, I have no hard feelings with any of those guys. And just talked to Alex recently, and I wish those guys all the best and like the best of success continuing. I know that's Frankie's desire and his will to have the Quiet Riot continue, and I feel like that's music that that lives beyond the band. It's at that point. The Mental Health album is at that point where exceptional musicians and top quality guys in Alex and Chuck, and now Johnny Kelly behind the drums, who I got to perform like my last summer of touring with, and he's incredible. And then Jizzy Pearl, so it's that music lives on, and I'm all for it. As soon as they come to my town, I'm going, whether cool. I'm let in or not, but I'm definitely going because I still have a Quiet Riot cassette in my Suburban. So it's the Durbin Suburban. It's called the Suburban. But yeah, I've still got my QR cassette in there and still play it and have my metal mask. It's plastic, but it's a metal mask, But my Friday Night Live shows, getting back to that. When the pandemic hit and I knew I wasn't going to be able to play shows, I just thought, I might as well get on Facebook Live and play a couple songs here and there. And people really stuck to it, and they really enjoyed it. So that's been a blast. I've taken a couple breaks from it here and there and just kind of don't want to do it too often, too much, and get people more excited about it as take a break. But those have been great. And I'm back at it this Friday, and depending on when this airs, I might be back at it this Friday as well. Right. They've been a blast. And as they continue, I'll start to play more of the new material, acoustic versions. But they're a blast. They're fun for me to tell stories and get on and entertain people. And I've been able to transpose that to backyard parties. I've gone and done a few socially distanced backyard parties at people's homes and in their backyards, and surprise parties and things, and all socially distanced. But it's just been great to get out and entertain.
That's awesome. That's awesome because we miss it so much, man.
I know. Same here. I'm a fan, and I just want to get out and hear music and be entertained.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Now, in your life, you've overcome so much to get where you are, and especially on doing something like American Idol. I can't even imagine it. Most of us can't. Getting up there and on that stage in front of everybody in the world, pretty much. But you're overcoming, the loss of your father at an early age, 9 years old, Tourette Syndrome, Asperger's, which is I'm very much aware of. I have in my immediate family, and I know what a hurdle that is. Does that ever creep in and make things more difficult for you now? I know that it gets a little better as you get older and you learn to deal with it in different ways. Does it creep in on you now and make things a little more difficult for you?
It definitely does. With the Asperger's, is sometimes saying the wrong thing at the wrong time and not knowing when to stop talking. And I've definitely done that. I've probably done that here today, hearing about it. So
not at all. Not at all.
But things like that. So, but yeah, it definitely does from time to time. But the best thing I did with my life was, at 16 years old, stop taking the medications they prescribed me to chemically spank the brain, and learned who I was, and if this is who I'm supposed to be, and the life I'm supposed to live with these circumstances, they've got to be for a reason. And it's not so bad that I can't manage it. I definitely annoy my wife all the time with the little sounds, and she says I sound like a squirrel, and I do, because my Tourette's ticks, and just sometimes a fogginess of the mind with the Asperger's. But as for my dad passing away at a young age, I just try to be the best dad that I can be for my kids, and be a good husband, and be there for my kids. And like yesterday, I did press all day long, but still, found time for breaks to watch little parts of a movie, or to read them a bedtime story, and that kind of stuff. And I didn't have that growing up. And my mom did everything that she could, and raising 3 kids on her own, single mom, and me and my 2 older sisters. And so it's just a point to, be better, take what he did as an example, and try to get the wisdom out of the things that he did do correctly, and the dreams that he did accomplish, and celebrate those victories. I recently found an album that he played on. He was a tremendous bass player, and I found an album that he played on with a group called The People. And the lead single off that features him playing bass, accompanying Steve Marriott of Humble Pie, who's one of my favorite singers. And to hear, my own dad, the man that, helped create my existence, is up there with one of my musical heroes, and reminds me that my dad is also one of my musical heroes. So, never forgetting that, and letting somebody else's legacy live on.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. Did you ever think about doing an autobiography, getting this written down? You got an amazing, inspiring story. I'd love for you to tell it, and I'd love to read about, your feelings about all of that. Did you ever think about doing that?
It's definitely crossed my mind. I've had people reach out and have found different writers and things that I would want to help put it together, and to make sure that none of my autistic nuances that make it so that things aren't actually funny when I'm trying to make them be funny.
Right.
Somebody that's good at writing comedically. And I really enjoy my buddy Chris Jericho. I really enjoy his books, of how they tell such great stories, but also put in humor and pop culture references and all that sort of thing. So it definitely be something along those lines. I'm in no hurry to do that, but I feel like I've got good stories, and have gained wisdom, and that's really what I hope to accomplish in any of these musical ventures, and career ventures, and choices, and journeys, and chapters, is to just gain wisdom, and sometimes you got to go through hell to really appreciate what good you have around you, and sometimes you think you want something so badly, and will make whatever decisions necessary to get that thing, only for that thing to end up, looking like a disaster. But then, of course, those sorts of incidences and happenings can lead to amazing things and new awakenings, if you will.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It all comes back.
It all comes
that's
around,
the autistic
doesn't it?
thing. It's like, and then the storytelling is recalling things, but sometimes it just takes a frickin' while to circumnavigate.
I got a hypothetical for you, a little fun question.
Yeah.
If Steve Harris called you and said, Bruce doesn't want to do the next album, and we'd really love you to front the band, is that a gig you take?
I'm not sure. I've thought of hypothetics like that before, and just because I've been the singer of a band and have done that sort of thing, it's not something that I'm itching to do, no matter who it is. So it's really like opportunity speaks, money talks. Obviously, I mean it's those things have to go into it, because I've done it the other way, where you just go into something from the heart, thinking it's going to be like, oh, this is exciting, la-di-da, like, here we go, yay, it's all going to work itself out. Um, yeah, who knows? Right now, I'm loving making music on my own, and I've collaborated with people for like the last 10 years, and except for my most recent last solo record, Homeland, which is like an Americana album, but taking that challenge of taking on full creative control of something is so much different than just being given music and saying, here, write to it.
Right.
Sometimes you're able to pull really good songs out of that. Alex Grossi and I wrote some incredible songs that we are both really proud of, and we talked a couple weeks ago about that, of just like, wow, the power of these songs that we wrote together, of him writing music and sending it to me, and me writing lyrics and melodies setting to it, has its mastery. There's a magic in there that you can find, but I find a different kind of magic to sit and figure all that stuff out on your own and use your own, maybe my own limitations as a guitar player, to look at those as not as limitations of like, okay, well, I'm not a lead player and I don't have super fast hands, and but taking what I do have and using that to the best of my abilities and the best of my own advantage, of being like, okay, well, I don't have to write these crazy, super fast, super difficult riffs and licks. I can take a more melodic, sensible approach to it. Much more like a Tony Iommi would. Of okay, I've got 4 notes. Let me figure out how I'm going to use these 4 notes and build a kick-ass song that pushes and punches and rolls and doesn't feel like there's any end in sight, but you don't want to. You're not longing for the end.
Right.
I listen to like Black Sabbath with Tony Martin, Anno Mundi, and there's basically 3 notes. He does a fourth in there, but for the most part, for all intents and purposes, that song is 3 notes. With a sneaky fourth in there just for a second, but using those to the best of my ability. So if anybody calls, I'll definitely take a call. Because you never, you might gain a new friend out of it. But yeah, I'm definitely just enjoying doing my own thing.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And not everybody has heard your voice. And, I've had a couple people, younger kids that I know. I told them I'm talking to James Durbin. They say, oh, I'm not sure who that is. What does he sound like? What's the first thing I play for him?
Man. I don't know. I think that's up to you. I think that's going to be up to the people that listen to and know the people they're talking to. I'd have to ask a couple questions about them first. But I am sure that there's something on the new album that they could get into. I mean, you could play them by the horns. That's a fun one. It's not too long, not too difficult to understand the gist of it. And punches you right in the face. There's a killer solo on it, killer musicianship. It's got a driving rhythm, and it's very reminiscent of Priest and Dio and of that sort. So if it's a fan of classic heavy metal, they'll definitely be able to find anything. It's a roulette on this album. It's the Wheel of Fortune. No matter where you land. You're going to get all the vowels.
Yeah, that's really great. It's really cool to listen to. It's got great ebb and flow, like a full record should. And I know you got another interview up. You got a full day. You're a madman.
A full day. I'm already behind.
Madman. And I know you want to get to your
up.
family, which is, God bless you. That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
I was home with my kids, and quit my job to stay home with my kids while my wife worked, and so I know how important that is. What's at the top of your bucket list? What is one thing that you've always wanted to do, maybe that you haven't done and you want to do?
I don't really have a bucket list. The bucket is nowhere in sight, so I don't want to attach a list to it, and and have that be an idea even remotely anywhere in my mind. But I just enjoy any opportunity to create a memory. I love doing new things too, but even doing the same thing for the 1000th time, I find a way to have fun with it. I really just tried not to set any expectation of anything, and that way what comes of it is what comes of it, and it's not. I don't compare it to any other previous thing. And it's difficult. It's very tough to
Yeah.
do, and to think that way. But it's it's a workout for the mind, and I feel like I'm better off for it. So already with this album, it's exceeded all of my expectations, which were none. I set zero expectations, and I'm super stoked on the album that I've created and the response that it's had. This album already has had the best response of any of my albums in the last 10 years, anything that I've done with any band. And that's just a testament to its circumstances that surrounded it. I mean, we were in a pandemic, and I sat at my desk and wanted to create authentic sounding and feeling classic heavy metal, and wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it.
You
There's a
did.
very fine line between cheesy and methodic, but I have a good feeling that I ended up somewhere that's authentic with it,
Yeah.
and just look forward to getting the chance to perform it
Yeah.
wherever and however that may be.
Man, I'll tell you, I so look forward to that. You're a wonderful human being. Great father. Don't ever stop doing that, and keep that humility that you have. It's a beautiful thing. Uh, the Beast Awakens, February 12th, and make sure you check out the Friday nights on Facebook with James. It's a blast, my friend. It's really
Thank you,
cool.
brother.
Yeah, and
Appreciate it.
I hope I can come see you, and you hit Chicago here, and we can hang. That'd be great, man.
You got it. I look forward to it.
Yeah, it's
Definitely
cool.
look forward to it. Thank you, brother. You
All
guys
right.
have a great day,
You
and
too, man.
take care.
Take care.
Thanks, Scott.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon. Bye.